If we want to prosper as a nation, we must cherish the family and accord it the value, the respect, and indeed the sanctity it deserves.
The federal government set to roll out economic support and empowerment programs to safeguard the family unit.
Training and retraining of teachers on ICT, provision of computers and laptops for teachers, and provision of alternate power supply.
The Senate urges the Federal Ministry of Education to include ICT as basic prerequisite for teachers' qualification.
It's also meant to build an ultra-modern media city that will have the following facilities.
Also tonight, Information Minister clears the air on NTA loan. Lovely evening to you and welcome to Network News on the NTA. I am Kenen Ima Abulike. The federal government says it is not unmindful of the havoc poverty is wreaking on the nation's family unit and is determined to sustain efforts at addressing the phenomenon through economic support and empowerment towards safeguarding the integrity of families. President Muhammadu Buhari stated this at the opening of a joint national conference on repositioning the Muslim family for national development organized by the Supreme Council for Islamic Affairs and the Future Assured Initiative. State House correspondent Adamu Sambo has the details.
If we want to prosper as a nation, we must cherish the family and accord it the value, the respect, and indeed the sanctity it deserves.
President Muhammadu Buhari said most importantly, family values must be propagated and indeed defended, as only stable families can contribute meaningfully towards nation building. The president therefore commended the Nigerian Supreme Council for Islamic Affairs and the Future Assured Initiative for rising up to this challenge.
I understand that the essential objective of the joint effort is to find ways to reduce marital discord and rampant divorce, which has bedeviled our society. It is a project that has direct bearing on our well-being and development of our society. I wish to call on all our other religious leaders and organizations, both Christian and Muslim, to follow suit by redirecting important elements of their preachings and teachings on family issues with a view to broadening the sensitization of people at the grassroots level.
He, however, said if the search for national rebirth, efforts at fighting corruption and indiscipline, as well as the struggle for attitudinal change are to succeed, they must all begin from the family unit. And this, he said, informed the introduction of the various economic empowerment and poverty alleviation schemes directly impacting on families.
The first and most robust program is the Social Investments Program, which serves as a very broad framework for availing Nigerian families at the grassroots level different forms of economic support. We have recorded huge successes in terms of saving millions of families from distress. Conversely, it has weeded millions of children from the street back to school. We will continue to do more in this direction. It is our expectation that the state governments will rise up to these challenges and do their full parts.
Senate President Ahmed Lawan, who spoke in the same vein, promised the support of the National Assembly in the task of addressing the challenges confronting Nigeria, especially the Al-Majiri phenomenon.
On the matter of making Nigeria better, we have no reservations, we have no hesitations in supporting Mr. President to achieve all the laudable and noble goals he has set for himself and for this country.
On behalf of the Northern governors, I want to assure you, Your Excellency, that we are collaborating with you. We have already taken a decision that we are going to take 2 days in Ghana to just deliberate on this issue. It is about implementation. Let us now see which governor will not implement.
Practical recommendations are expected at the end of the conference, which the President promised will be carefully studied for possible implementation. From the State House, Adamu Sambu, NTA News.
In another development, President Muhammadu Buhari is reassuring the people of Plateau State that the federal government will continue to support genuine efforts at building a peaceful, prosperous and tolerant society for them to fully harness its potentials for a better future. This was while granting audience to critical stakeholders for the state, led by Governor Simon Lalong. State House correspondent Adamu Sambu again was there.
With its geographically unique and diverse environment, as well as incredible potentials in tourism, agriculture, and mining, President Muhammadu Buhari described Plateau State as strategic to Nigeria.
It is therefore our collective duty to ensure these potentials are fully harnessed by providing the right policy support. I am very pleased with the progress made in security, provision of social services, and infrastructure development under your leadership. These are the critical pillars of having a prosperous and inclusive society. I will therefore take this opportunity to urge all citizens of Plateau to encourage and support your government in delivering on its mandate.
The President congratulated Governor Simon Lalong for his steadfastness, patriotism, and successes achieved so far in genuinely transforming the state through his rescue administration.
And rest assured, we will do our best to support you where we can.
The State Governor, Simon Lalong, who expressed gratitude to President Muhammadu Buhari for supporting the state in many ways, takes pride in the modest achievements recorded in the restoration of peace and security, improving critical infrastructure, and ensuring fiscal discipline.
Currently, our focus is to implement legacy projects that will transform the state and take our people to the next level. Accordingly, we are constructing excellent schools, hospitals, and roads across the 3 senatorial districts of the state. Some of them are almost completed, and we shall be honored to have Your Excellency personally come to commission them for the benefit of our people and posterity.
He, however, made a case for dualization and construction of at least 5 critical federal roads in the state, including Akwanga, Jos, Bauchi, Gombe Road, upgrading the Potato Research Center, as well as the provision of special grants for the rehabilitation of victims of attacks and crises.
Many victims of crisis in Plateau State are facing serious challenges of survival. Since Plateau State is not captured in the Northeast Development Commission, we passionately appeal for a special grant to enable us to respond to their needs.
Plateau State Council of Chiefs and Emirs are very much in support of Mr. Governor's request to Mr. President, and by God's grace, we want to believe Mr. President will wipe away our tears.
The Plateau community also made a case for refund of outstanding monies expended on some federal projects and promised to work more closely with the Buhari presidency for the good of the nation. From the State House, Adamu Sambu, NTA News.
In the meantime, President Muhammadu Buhari has granted audience to the Imo State Governor Hope Uzodinma and his Ogun State counterpart Dapo Abiodun in furtherance of his strategic engagement with a broad spectrum of the Nigerian society towards deepening the gains of his administration's next-level agenda. State House correspondent Adamu Sambo once again reports that the President met the governors separately behind closed doors.
For Governor Hope Uzodinma of Imo State, this is the second meeting with President Muhammadu Buhari in 3 weeks. His mission this time to brief the Nigerian leader on his vision and mission for the Eastern Heartland, the challenges inherited, and the urgent need for support and assistance by the federal government.
A lot of things to do, and we don't have the money. So I've come to request
the kind intervention of Mr. President to at least refund some money spent on some of the federal roads in Imo State before my arrival, so that we can address some pressing issues. It does not necessarily mean that only those monies owed to us will be given to us. There are so many other ways of federal government intervening in critical situations like we find ourselves in Imo State. And in his magnanimity, he had assured me that he will look into it very considerably. We'll be prudent in the way we manage whatever that is given to us in form of intervention.
A similar request for assistance was forwarded to the president by Governor Dapo Abiodun of Ogun State, who was accompanied to the State House by former governor of the state and chieftain of the governing APC, Segun Oshoba.
Our vision for the state is to provide a focused and qualitative governance while creating an enabling environment for a public-private sector partnership. We believe that is very fundamental to the economic growth of the state and individual prosperity of our people. We have come today to see the president to discuss on how he can use his fatherly position to give us the needed support.
Both the governors of Imo and Ogun States expressed satisfaction with the outcome of their engagement with the president, which they described as fulfilling and reassuring. From the State House, Adamu Sambo, NTA News.
Away from the State House to the National Assembly, where the Senate is to convene a roundtable discussion on the review of Nigeria's budgeting practices and national planning process with a view to establishing a visionary-driven national planning framework for Nigeria. National Assembly correspondent Ignatius Onkwo tells us more.
It was the last plenary of the week, and the motion for a comprehensive review of Nigeria's budgeting process and practices was the second motion that was considered. This followed a motion by Senator Stella Odua, which also resolved to invite the Minister of Finance, Budget and National Planning and all related agencies to address the Senate on the challenges of previous national development plans and to present a detailed appraisal report on the current budget and national planning.
This collaborative and coordinated planning will ensure a national vision that enables MDAs to identify relevant programs and projects to be implemented within the budget framework period.
And this is the reason why we have so much abandoned projects.
As a legislator, we have the constitutional responsibility to monitor all this project implementation on the basis of the provisions of the national development planning.
The meeting is expected to identify any extant law or regulation that needs amendment or repeal with the aim of creating more synergies and collaborative system that is both effective and efficient.
We need to have deep discussion over to interrogate these reasons and find a lasting solution to this problem.
And this National Assembly, using the two committees in the Senate Committee on Finance and the House Committee on Finance, every quarter they are supposed to monitor the progress in our budget.
That will be discussed with the executive government so that a system can be put in place for the future development of this country.
The Committee on National Planning will lead. Thank you very much.
The Senate has passed the National Agency for the Education, De-Radicalization and Integration of Repentant Insurgents in Nigeria Bill through first reading. From the National Assembly, Ignatius Onkwo, NTA News.
The Senate has urged the Federal Ministry of Education to include computer studies and information communications technology as a basic prerequisite for teachers' qualification. The Senate, while considering the report of its Committee on Basic and Secondary Education on the urgent need to address what it described as the sorry state of computer education in Nigeria, also called on the federal government to partner with states to strengthen the national computer policy.
Federal government to partner with the state governments on the need for dogged implementation of the national computer policy in the education system.
The National Information Technology Agency has been established for over 10 years, and I think that agency is very, very critical in a project like this. Training and retraining of teachers on ICT, provision of computers and laptops
for teachers and provision of alternate power supply, such as solar power and generators for schools. Those in favor of this recommendation say aye, and those against say nay. The ayes have it.
Still on the National Assembly, the House of Representatives has urged the federal government to appoint more justices for the Supreme Court to fast-track determination of cases and dispensation of justice. National Assembly correspondent Lami Ali reports that the issue came under matters of urgent importance.
The 1999 Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria prescribes that the maximum number of justices of the Supreme Court be 21, but at the moment has 13 in number, thus making it impossible to have simultaneous sitting of the prescribed 7-man panel. Considering the ever-increasing number of appeals filed at the Supreme Court, House members pointed to the need to appoint more justices.
Some cases stayed undecided in the Supreme Court for over 10 years, and that as of now, the diary of the Supreme Court seems to be full up for new appeal up till year 2021.
And in line with the provisions made for the judiciary and the legislature, which both fall under the first-line charge, the House of Representatives has resolved to set up an ad hoc committee to liaise with the Ministry of Finance to ensure that outstanding arrears relating to 2018 and 2019 appropriations are released.
2018 Appropriation Acts show that on a monthly basis, what the National Assembly and Judiciary were receiving on first-line charge was short by 1,208,333,333 naira 33 kobo.
The reasoning behind placing the judiciary and the National Assembly on first-line charge is to guarantee the independence of these arms of government.
The House joined the rest of the world to commemorate International Day of Social Justice, during which the lawmakers called for an end to casualization of workers and addressing social inequalities. In the meantime, 19 bills passed through first reading, while 4 others passed through second reading.
A bill for an act to establish the Chartered Institute of Public Administration of Nigeria and to make provisions, among other things, for membership and control of the profession of public administration.
From the National Assembly, Lami Ali, NTA News.
Now, the quality of education of a country is said to be one of the major determinants of its growth. That explains why nations pay special attention to the sector by frequently raising the bar to meet present and future needs. It is in view of this that correspondent Rashidat Mustafa Olagunju seeks to know what should be the focus of the sector in Nigeria in 2020.
With the allocation of 6.3.2% of the total national budget to education, experts are advocating extraordinary steps in the sector that will bring extraordinary results, noting the need for policymakers and education managers to align the sector with ideas and prospects of the future by bringing qualitative innovations.
Without adequate funding, the input, the process, the environment will affect the output. The quality has to be improved for us to reduce poverty, for us to reduce unemployment and exclusion.
To also reap the dividends of education, attention, the advice should be shifted to heavy investment in technological advancement and transformation that will improve access, carrying capacity, enrollment, retention, and quality output at all levels.
Currently, we have a very relatively high illiteracy rate. And then, of course, we don't have enough physical infrastructure to be able to take care of this rate. We don't have enough classrooms, we don't have enough teachers, we don't have enough of other resources. I think this is where we can deploy technology. E-learning is the way to go.
Since it is said that anyone that provides education is a life giver, experts feel it behoves on government at all levels, partners, parents and guardians to hype their strides for the sector to witness a new dawn in 2020. Rashidat Mustafa Olagunju, NTA News.
And now to discuss education in Nigeria today, I have Sonny Echono with us in the studio. He is the Permanent Secretary, Federal Ministry of Education. You're welcome to NTA Network News.
Thanks for having me.
Over the years, series of policies and measures have been introduced, to address large numbers of out-of-school children. We want to know what plan does the ministry has in the year to ensure that children of school age are in school and also acquire basic and necessary knowledge.
Thank you. From 2018, we completed diagnostics on what the challenge of out-of-school children is all about. And the UBEC conducted what we call a national personnel audit. Through the interventions we had before then, we were able to reduce the number from 12.7 million to 10.1 million. The target we set for ourselves is that over the next 5 years, we will be able to enroll at least 2 million out of this deficit. It will also entail that all those who will be of school age within this period will also have to be enrolled. So our actual target is about 3.1 million per annum. And now, the strategies to do this are numerous. First, through the support of the World Bank, we have what we call the BESDA. We identify the critical states, and there are 17 of them across the country. We are addressing issues of access, inclusive education, providing classrooms, hiring teachers, and providing the teaching materials required for this. But again, we also know that if you're going to take such huge numbers into our school system, we are not going to ever have enough classrooms for all of them. So we're also embracing technology. We want to be able to use digital literacy as a tool for reaching mass numbers, because in today's world, you don't have to be in the confines of a classroom to access education. We're also considering the introduction of the shift system. Immediately after the Civil War, we have compelled to do this because of the shortage of facilities, to have 2 streams of schools. That way we can accommodate a larger number within the existing limited facilities in terms of classrooms that we have. And under BESDA, we've designed a reward system that actually focuses on results. We want to know how many of these kids have you brought enrolled. When you enroll them, we want to be sure that they are learning. So we also have tests there for literacy and numeracy. We want to be sure that they are retained in school. And we are addressing specific sectorial issues that also affect out-of-school children, like the girl child.
You've actually touched on learning through technology. But how recently, UBEC presented its MPA findings to the public, of course. Now, how does the ministry intend to address challenges highlighted in that report?
It's a fantastic document, and it's been acclaimed by all the stakeholders within and outside, because it is rich in data. And you need data for planning, which is exactly what we've done. So it is the basis for our target setting. We've now been able to pinpoint, we have a record of all the schools we have, for example, in this country, including their coordinates that are approved or recognized. We need a number of teachers there. What are their specialization? How many kids are in school? What is their sex? What is their age? And with all these data, we are now designing programs and interventions to target specific segments of that. At the level of basic education, the primary issue is basically access. We need to get them in school. There are kids who are out of school. And we also know that some of them are even beyond the school age. So we have designed specific curricula to address various segments. So we have those who have missed the opportunity but are being brought back to school. We have an accelerated, we are actually piloting it as I speak in Borno State right now. We also have those who are in school, of school age, but because of certain cultural or poverty-related issues or issues bordering on communal matters, have been denied this opportunity. And we have designed specific programs. Also for the girl child, in many communities, especially in the northern part of the country, the girl child, either due to harsh decisions being taken or cultural values, have been denied access to education. We have a new program we call the Agile program. Agile, okay. In support also, again, with the World Bank, where we want to be able to encourage the girl child to get them to school, ensure that they don't get, because the fertility rate in some of these states where we are focusing on is so high because the girls get married very quickly. Now we want to ensure that they don't get married until they are 18 and they have finished secondary school. And these programs are targeted to achieve that.
Okay. I'd like to thank you, Sonny Echono, for coming on the news tonight.
It's been my pleasure.
I wish you good luck.
Thank you very much.
We'll be talking with the Permanent Secretary, Federal Ministry of Education, Sonny Echono. Now, let's take our first commercial break on the news tonight. When we return, more reports. Welcome back. Information and Culture Minister Lai Mohammed has described as unfortunate, sensational, and outright disinformation the hysteria that has been generated about the proposed $500 million loan being sought from China, saying it is wrong to report that the loan is for NTA alone. Correspondent Anthony Folsom reports that the minister gave the breakdown of what the loan will be used for at a media briefing, explaining that 3 critical projects have been targeted: to construct a headquarters complex for transmission network for integrated television services (ITX), the federal government-owned signal distributor, which is a major component for the nation's digital switchover project.
Is also meant to build an ultra-modern media city that will have the following facilities: indoor-outdoor shooting area, animation production facility, digital media training center, world-class cinema, a 4-star hotel, an amusement park, and an amphitheater.
This facility will train Nigerian broadcasters and filmmakers in the production of high-quality media content and programs. This will also make Nigeria a hub for digital content in sub-Saharan Africa. The loan will also cover the digitization of all NTA stations, headquarters, 12 zonal stations, 36 state capital stations, and 76 community stations, just as it will support the upgrade, installation, and purchasing of relevant digital TV broadcasting equipment compatible with DSO products that are necessary for modern television broadcast standard. Now, Information and Culture Minister Lai Mohammed has advised Nigerians to, at their individual and collective levels, to galvanize support for President Muhammadu Buhari in the fight against insecurity in the country. The minister said this at a media briefing in Abuja, from where Anthony Folsom now reports.
I want to advise all commentators, especially political.
The Information and Culture Minister, in an X-ray of the state of affairs in the country, was quick to draw attention to the fact that it is unacceptable for citizens in their individual or collective capacity take on the President of the Federal Republic.
The kind of comments that have been attributed to some leaders recently, especially religious leaders, are incendiary and reckless. Leaders should be part of solutions to problems rather than aggravating situations. To those asking Mr. President to resign, I wish to say this very clearly: Mr. President will not resign. He has the overwhelming mandate of Nigerians to preside over the affairs of the country, the expiration of his tenure on 29th of May 2023.
For those who have refused to refrain from propagating fake news, the minister reminded them that they have everything to lose if they continue in that conduct, as fake news, hate speech, and disinformation creates unwanted tension. More worrisome is the latest tactics of recycling such fake news, as was the case recently with a video shot in 2014 and now being circulated to seem it's new, all in a bid to create disaffection among the citizens, just as they equally circulated a concocted news that the president will travel for 20 days and that of the transportation minister, whom they claimed was attacked in Kaduna.
This is not accidental. This is because fake news, disinformation, and hate speech have become the weapon of choice to create tension in the polity and stabilize the country.
Most heartwarming, however, the minister said, is the resumption of international flights into Murtala Muhammad International Airport, Lagos, after the calibration of the CAT-3ILS and the improvement of the weather condition as against some negative commentaries that has been making the rounds. Lai Mohammed equally took on Amnesty International, which he said have consistently portrayed the Nigerian armed forces in bad light. In Abuja, Anthony Forson.
Two other matters now. First Lady of Nigeria, Aisha Mohammed Buhari, has advocated for the involvement of all critical stakeholders towards addressing marital challenges and other social problems within the family and the social society at large in order to build a strong and prosperous nation. This came to light during the one-day national conference organized by the Future Assured program of the First Lady Aisha in collaboration with the Nigerian Supreme Council for Islamic Affairs. Correspondent Aliyu Kabir tells us more.
The magnitude and recurrence of divorce, as well as the incidence of child abuse and its negative consequences on family and the nation at large, remain the source of concern by all as part of our advocacy in the quest of shaping the future of the society. The First Lady, in collaboration with the Nigerian Supreme Council for Islamic Affairs, organized this national conference with the aim of repositioning the Muslim family for national development. The First Lady, who noted the root causes of these social problems as gradual collapse of the institutions of marriage, expressed optimism that the deliberations of this conference will go a long way in addressing the challenges for the betterment of Nigerian society.
Some of the objectives were agreed to pursue, including identifying critical marital challenges and suggesting relevant instruments for addressing them, sensitizing families and other relevant stakeholders on their specific and collective responsibilities towards mitigating marital challenges, and identifying policy matters requiring urgent attention.
The conference centered on the need to put all hands on deck to come up with workable solutions of enhancing advocacy and sensitization on the role of family, the traditional rulers, community and political leaders, as well as religious institutions in taking proactive measures to better the future of the Nigerian children and by extension the larger society.
We must start solving our problems because nobody from any part of the world will come and solve our own problems for us.
If you cannot maintain a wife, don't marry her. If you cannot maintain a child, do not give birth to him. If you cannot maintain a servant, do not employ him. And if you choose to, it is for our governors to make sure there are consequences.
We have to support education very, very aggressively. We have to give awareness very, very aggressively. A lot of these recruits of Boko Haram, they probably think they're doing business.
It is heartbreaking that we still have not addressed the issue of the child act. Until that issue is addressed, we are only paying service to the national issue.
Speakers at the technical session lend their voices in support towards bringing to bear the role of critical stakeholders, including women as mothers, in mitigating the challenges of marital crisis and enhancing family life in general. From the State House, Aliyu Kabir, NTA News.
To ensure effective reintegration and rehabilitation of Boko Haram ex-fighters, the Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs, Disaster Management and Social Development is ready to partner with Operation Safe Corridor. A multinational and multi-agency humanitarian venture has been established to ensure the reintegration of these Boko Haram ex-fighters into the society. Ruth Aguele has the details.
In September 2015, the federal government gave a directive for the establishment of Operation Safe Corridor to ensure willing and repentant ex-Boko Haram fighters be reintegrated into the society. And in 2016, the activities of Operation Safe Corridor kicked off. Today, this visit by the Operation Safe Corridor to the Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs, Disaster Management and Social Development is to establish a strong partnership and also recount some of the activities from 2016 till date. Also reel out some of the challenges being faced in reintegrating some of these ex-Boko Haram members into the society.
Since we released them to the state governments, we have not received any report of hostility against them in the communities where they have been integrated.
And he also debunked the rumor making wave on the social media that some of these ex-Boko Haram members are being recruited into the Nigerian army.
That's a false news. I do not think any member of Boko Haram is qualified to be recruited into the Nigerian military.
This strategy is very important for us as a country. It's a way of even sending a signal to these people that are out there stabilizing this country, that the government has opened its doors for them to have a rethink, come back home.
For both parties here, the fight against insurgency is a collective responsibility. Also, it is worthy of note that the camp, which is located in Gombe State, is open for visit by the general public for verification. In Abuja, Ruth Aguela, NTA News.
Experience, it is said, is the best teacher. This saying is playing out at the Nigerian Air Force Commanders Retreat 2020, where veterans and newbies are rubbing minds towards improving efficiency in a contemporary security environment. Correspondent Najatu Tijani reports.
Effective leadership is critical in governance and especially the military with Nigeria's changing security climate. These commanders, leaders in their own right, understand this and have gathered to improve their understanding of command responsibility in an asymmetric environment. They have the best in the business guiding them.
Let us use this forum to remind us of our responsibilities to our dear country as a fighting force. We are all obliged to protect the sovereignty and sanctity of Nigeria.
Moreover, the fluid nature of contemporary security situation requires commanders to be flexible in discharge of command responsibilities, of which shared ideas and experiences could greatly help in the light of command challenges.
Leadership and learning are at the heart of this 2020 Commanders Retreat, which seeks to not only keep commanders abreast of trending global security issues, but enhance civil-military relations. Simply put, what they learn might be employed when they are faced with making critical decisions in or out of the battlefield. Najatu Tijani, NTA News.
The Nigerian Air Force says the Air Task Force of Operation Lafia Dole has destroyed an Islamic State of West Africa province ISWAP hideout and neutralized some of its fighters at Bukar Meram on the fringes of the Lake Chad in northern Borno State. In a statement by NAF Director, Public Relations and Information, Air Commodore Ibukale Daramola, this was achieved on 19th February 2020 in airstrikes conducted as part of the ongoing Operation Rattlesnake 3 after intelligence reports and observation of terrorist fighters operating in a designated area. This led ATF attack aircraft to neutralize some terrorists as well as the destruction of some structures housing the ISWAP element. Operation Rattlesnake 3, which commenced on 4th February 2020, is aimed at targeting selected locations within the northeast in order to shape the battle space for the effective conduct of further ground and air operations. Lagos is next with Michael Olaleye as our guide.
Thank you, Kene, and a warm welcome to Lagos. For economic and infrastructure development to thrive in Nigeria, the need for prompt payment of taxes was brought to the fore at a sensitization campaign hosted by the Executive Chairman, Federal Inland Revenue Service, Muhammad Nami, with representatives of Business and Market Association across Lagos. Our Yusuf Jibo reports.
Over the years, the economic policies of the present administration is focused on establishing a stable foundation to further strengthen socio-economic growth and development, as well as creating an enabling environment for doing business in Nigeria. Achieving this goal informed this engagement with business owners in Lagos.
Not just asking us to pay taxes, he's also interested in knowing how we feel, the challenges we are facing as businessmen. The majority of us don't know what the tax is all about. But when you bring them very close to the traders and you now lecture them about the whole thing, they will understand.
Executive Chairman Federal Inland Revenue Services, Mohammed Nami, emphasized that taxes engender smooth running of society and makes provision of necessary infrastructure easy for government and welfare of the citizenry.
As they give little to the government as a way of tax payment, we too have agreed to support them through our corporate social responsibility initiatives. The first one we are going to do is to provide a labor market with portable drinking water, so that they will use it to support their trading activities.
Doing this can only take, revenue collection forward in Nigeria.
This sensitization and interactive session is part of the familiarization tour of the FIRS boss. In Lagos, Awol Yusuf Jibo, NTA News.
Justices and law enforcement agencies are deliberating on the implementability of the Suppression of Piracy and Other Maritime Offences Act 2019 with a view to understanding the legal framework for speedy prosecution and share ideas on likely challenges during enforcement. Correspondent reports that the forum is the 9th Admiralty Law Seminar for Judges. About a week ago, precisely on the 14th of this month, a mega container ship was attacked at 200 nautical miles southwest Bonny on its way to Lagos for Port Noah. Although the ship has since been rescued, but the incident is one of the numerous cases of sea robbery and pirate attacks threatening the Gulf of Guinea. On the 29th of June 2019, President Muhammadu Buhari assented to the Suppression of Piracy and Other Maritime Offences Act, demonstrating the federal government's determination to combat such economic sabotage. The target of this forum is to examine the legal framework for implementation.
It has actually provided a platform to guide our investigators, our prosecutors on how to generate evidence, and then it has also brought into actually for how our judges need to understand where the procedures are coming from and the kind of weight they need to attach in terms of the evidence adduced.
Director General, Nigerian Maritime Administration and Safety Agency, NIMASA, was prompt to say that with a robust legal instrument stipulating procedures for prosecution of pirates and sea armed robbers, the future of the shipping industry is guaranteed.
Government at the highest level has put in place a number of intervention measures, and one of those things the intervention measures would do is that it will reduce the number of young people available to be used for criminality.
The Suppression of Piracy and Other Maritime Offences Act 2019 is the first freestanding maritime law in West and Central Africa, and if other countries within the Gulf of Guinea follow suit, there will be no safe haven for all forms of maritime criminalities. That report ends our contribution from Lagos. More reports from Kene in Abuja after this break. Please stay tuned.
Nigerian Export and Import Bank is offering a minimum of 1 billion naira to states and entrepreneurs for production, processing and export of identified exportable agri-produce and natural resources across the country. Katsina State happens to be the latest seeking the credit facility. Benny Adams reports.
Lately, Katsina State has been in the news for wrong reason, insecurity. But this time, it is for good. The governor, Aminu Bello Masari, is visiting Nigeria's export credit agency, the Nigerian Bank, for economic gains. It is to facilitate the actualization of a planned economic free grain zone and a textile park that will leverage on the Jibia-Kano and Lagos economic corridor, in addition to upscaling production, processing and export of sesame seed and oil, as well as hibiscus, which are the state's major exportable agri-produce. In furtherance to this plan, management of the bank reviews the availability of 500 billion naira stimulation credit in addition to a 50 billion naira state export development fund, which Katsina State seeks to access 2 billion naira out of the fund.
Proposed aggregator who already have 1,800 hectares of land and signed up over 1,000 farmers that would process this season of sesame from Katsina State, and we hope to see it to the conclusion.
And not just sell their hibiscus flower in its form, but we can actually get it to tea, get it to syrup, get it to juice for export.
Governor Masari says, in spite pockets of insecurity, his government is making land available, processing of certificates of occupancy for commercial and other developmental purposes, all for free.
Katsina is on the window on Trans-African Highway, and you go through Katsina, through Abuja to Niger Republic. So we are properly positioned to really participate actively in the economic affairs, not only of Katsina, but of the region as a whole.
The message from this meeting is that Nexim Bank is currently positioned as a trade export bank of the country, ready to support states that are willing to develop their export potential. Benny Adams, NTA News.
Do stay with us as we take our last commercial break on the news. The death has been announced of Mrs. Rose Ugoma Omekara, who died at the age of 86. Several songs were held in her honor on Friday, 21st February 2020 by 5 p.m. at the Bathi Omekara's compound, Umuabom Umokabia, Umuahia, Abia State. Funeral service will take place on Saturday, 22nd February 2020 by 11:30 a.m. at Central School, Umokabia, Umuahia, Abia State, while a Thanksgiving service will hold on Sunday, 23rd February 2020 at Christ Methodist Church, Umuabom Umokabia, Umuahia, Abia State by 10 a.m. That's NTA Network News tonight. Thanks indeed for watching. My name is Kenan Ima Amorike. Do enjoy your rest tonight. Bye-bye.